Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm Kelly Quinn with Paint for the Wild, and we're going to be filling in the form and the shading for our tiger shark that we just drew in the last lesson. So I'll be using, again, that number 2 pencil, just this normal old pencil right here, and doing all of the shading with this one pencil, this one tool. And it will hopefully you'll learn a lot in terms of techniques and about how to approach filling in your graphite, and a good way to start learning how to start layering graphite. So let's go ahead and hop right into our shading process. For this portion of our tiger shark class, we're going to focus in on adding more details and creating depth and form using light and shadow. So the first thing we want to keep in mind is we're going to be defining a few key areas a little bit more, such as the fins, which we're going to go ahead and do now. You're just going to add these little tick marks, a little tick, 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 going all the way down the body. And this just creates a bit more form for your shark. And this goes down in all of the fins, just like this. And even goes over pattern. Just like so. And then another thing we're going to want to add is there's kind of this little bump just above, just in the dorsal fin, just above the main curved line that we use to create the body of our tiger shark. And that's actually just the form of the fin kind of coming from its heavier base to skinnier base, our skinnier fin as it goes up the body or goes up higher. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is add in a defined counter shading line. And counter shading is actually what sharks and many other animals use to camouflage themselves so that they blend in from above and below. So on a shark specifically, counter shading makes them blend in from above because they're darker on top, so they blend in with the darkness of a coral reef or grass bed, or on the bottom of the ocean. They just disappear from something that's above. Now from below, so they can't be preyed upon, the white actually helps them blend in with the sun and the light shining through when the light's filtering through the ocean. So that white underbelly also helps them just as much as the upper portion, especially when they're younger. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to focus it on the face just to get this part done because it's a little bit more in depth than most of the rest of the body. And we're going to start at the nose. So you're going to lightly, see I'm just scratchy, 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 putting in a shadow that's following under that nose line that we put in earlier. But you want to leave some key areas free of all graphite, like around the little nose and around the eye, just for now, because we're going to go in and do a bit more emphasis and detail in those portions in a minute. So we're going to go ahead and follow our counter shading squiggly line that we just put in there. And then very, very lightly just build on top of our layers of graphite. So it gets lighter as we're going to the top, just like this. So you do one light layer and then you go back over it again with a darker layer. And doing this back and forth with this heaviness of the pencil and layering effect actually creates a much softer gradient for you to have a better, more smooth transitions and just overall a more refined looking graphite drawing. You're going to lightly do this across our gills as well. And going over here to the pectoral fin. Now I know you're probably curious about how we're going to do this with our patterns that we have here. And the thing is that we actually don't necessarily need to worry about that because as long as these are dark enough, they will show up over our graphite drawing. So something else we're going to want to darken up just a little bit. When I say darken it, I'm saying just a very slight shading, is this lateral line. So the lateral line goes down the entire body. And I like to have just a nice soft definition on it. It's actually the point of where there's the muscles connect for like the belly, mid portion of the body and the upper portion of the body is where they separate. So that's why it's going to be a bit defined. And then you can also add just a little bit of shading on the top, connecting to that, going to the tip of the nose. And if you even wanted to add one more layer, little very soft layer of that shading on the very top, that'll look nice right there too. Now moving over here to the dorsal fin, you're going to go ahead and lightly shade in the very bottom portion of this tiger shark, just like this. I'm gonna darken it up right there and darken up maybe a little bit more at where it begins. And then now that we're getting into our pattern area, we're gonna go ahead and go over with one more layer of darkness on these patterns, just to make sure that we don't lose them. And keep in mind that we don't want to do that to every single one of them, because they do fade out as they go further down the body and almost kind of blend into their coloration. So only ones that you should be really dark are the ones up on the dorsal fin and these very, very, very top portions. And so I'm using just a number 2 pencil right now. As we develop more classes, we'll go into using a few more types of pencils, but just for the sake of keeping it simple for right now, this is a great way to learn using just one material and one tool. Excellent. And so yeah, you'll see just adding the dark portion to the very tippy top of the patterns looks really nice. And then as you get further down, don't even darken it up at all. Like, just go ahead and leave it as is. And then if you're having problems with some smudging on your while you're drawing and shading, you can use something as simple as a what's it called? You can use something as simple as a piece of paper, or you can use a cloth, or even a paper towel works excellently to keep and prevent any kind of smudging of your shading. All right, so I'm pretty happy with darkening up those. So now we're gonna go ahead and come back to the face. We're gonna shade up our jaw a little bit right here. And then we're also going to go ahead and shade the underbelly, which is so important for creating real true depth and form. Just like this, super light, super, super light. And then on our pectoral fin, we're gonna go ahead and just darken up the points on this guy. Pretty much all of his fins are going to be darkened on the very tips, just by a little bit. And then as they get closer to the body, we're gonna create these like little curved, squiggly lines, and that's just going to be kind of like, it's gonna be just the form of the fin becoming defined. And then of course we need to continue the shading on the underbelly. And if you notice, we like to sweep up towards whatever it is that's casting a shadow, just like that. And it creates the form of being more rotund. And so that means that the belly becomes a bit more defined in that way. And then this one is actually going to be completely cast in shadow because it is underneath our shark, whereas this one right here is not. And then we're also going to do the same thing that we just did on the pectoral fin. We're going to do that over here as well on the caudal fin, except we're going to do it on both the bottom and the top. And of course, we're going to want to go back in and darken up those patterns here in just a moment, but let's just go ahead and finish out this little detail. you're going to shade just like the kind of the bottom portion of that secondary dorsal fin right there as well. Excellent, guys. It's coming together. And here we're actually going to shade up just a bit further. Just like so. So being very, very soft with your hand here. Excellent, guys. Now we're going to come back in and do a second round of shading on these lower portions of the body just to define them a bit more. And again, create that form and that contrast. Your shark is looking awesome, and I can't wait to see it, guys. So don't forget to share your artwork with us at Paint for the Wild on social media and using that hashtag of the wild. So we're going to shade up right here. Excellent. So the only other shading I think we should add in is just a little bit more up here on this very, very tippy top of our tiger shark, kind of defining that original line we had there. And just darkening up this portion just a little bit. And then of course, we're going to darken up just below the lateral line in the tail because it actually widens as it approaches the tail. So it casts the entire lower portion of the tail in shadow. Wonderful, guys. So you are all done. You can put any kind of little extra darkness in here if you would like. You can keep going in and adding more and more layers of this heavier number 2 pencil. Just layer it over and over and over again. You will get very dark darks. But I really hope you enjoyed learning how to do this. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed learning how to shade in your tiger shark, and I hope you enjoyed our previous lesson that showed you also how to draw this awesome beauty right here. If you have any questions about this process today, please feel free to leave us a comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Also, please share your artwork with us. We would love to see it. You can use our hashtag of the wild and share it at Paint for the Wild on Instagram and Facebook, and we'll put it on our stories. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and keep creating. See you guys later.